morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football. Oh, man.
National champ
issues on my end. Bobby, I'm going to let you take over for just 1 second because my computer's going nuts.
Okay, I'll take over, and I'll ask Jerry about why perhaps, Jerry Hamilton, are you wearing the shades this morning? Is it that 3 commitments over the weekend?
No, nothing to do.
Or is it the women's national championship?
Yeah, it's for the national championship for sure. National championship for sure. So we were at the CJ and myself and Blake. We were all at the national championship celebration Saturday evening. It was hot. It was awesome, though. It was capacity crowd, standing room only. And I'm wearing it for the national championship. Championship shades, as Salty Q says.
Well, look, was it? We talked a little bit about it last night. What'd you make of Tegan Cavan and her speech? Chris Del Conte, Mike White, all the people that spoke at the softball championship there.
Yeah, I thought CDC all the way down. You know, CDC talked about Jody Conrad and Plonsky when they started the program. First pitch was in '97, and how he saw some tears in their eyes for as they won the national championship, beating Texas Tech in Game 3, and kind of what the build of the program. And I felt, hopefully we'll have Mike White on later this week. We'll see. He's got a busy schedule because it is portal and recruiting season. But it was very cool to see Mike White, the excitement. I think the sense of relief. And, when you've been to the College World Series 7 times and haven't taken home the title, I don't care. There's some long off seasons for you. Not that you lose belief in yourself, but you're going back to the drawing board. And it was awesome to see him get it done. The excitement, the fan base was great. It was great Saturday. That was a great show of support because I kind of wondered. It was hot. It was a hot afternoon, evening, but it was a standing room only crowd. And it was really cool. And all the players stayed for, I don't know, Tegan Cavan probably stayed 30 or 40 minutes signing autographs after, as did some other players. It's good to see some other Texas athletes out there showing support.
That's awesome. That's a great pick there to give you an idea of just how many people are out there for a celebration for softball. It's good to see other sports than football getting that sort of acclaim, and especially the athletes around campus. We want to make them feel, like they did something special, like they did. And so the fan support at softball has increased, just as it has in volleyball and baseball over the years. Et cetera. It's all growing around the Longhorns. Jerry, next piece.
I got something else to add, though, real quick. Dave Atchley, great to meet you Saturday. I met 2 or 3 other on Texas football community members. Great to meet you guys out at the event Saturday.
All right, Jerry, question for you. Let's go over it real quickly because we haven't talked about it yet, and that is Texas added 3 commitments on the recruiting campaign, 13 official visitors over the weekend. The big names coming out of it were Dylan Berryman, as well as Cohen Brown. Brown, the wide receiver out of Waxahachie. Berryman, defensive lineman out of Monroe, Ouachita. And then we have Jake Collette out of Ringgold, Georgia. He's a kicker, and he's happened to be kicking the goat that apparently, if you notice in this picture, that happened to be used as a prop over in College Station this weekend. Yeah. Apparently they're going from sheep to goats now in College Station. Jerry, what did you think of Dylan Berryman in all seriousness, as well as Cohen Brown?
I like the Dylan Berryman take quite a bit because he's an over-the-ball player. And I think you have to have a strong presence over the ball in the SEC. He's a Cole Brevard. I call it a Cole Brevard starter kid. I mean, he is going to look physically like Cole Brevard does in a couple of years. I mean, he's already kind of ahead of where Cole Brevard was in high school. He's 6'2", about 315, 320. I saw him, I believe, January 8th it was, when I was at a Ouachita Parish High before heading over to Dallas for the national semifinal game. But he is just true over-the-ball player. He is a strong player. He's a leverage player, and that is the role he was recruited to play, and I think he'll perform at that very well. And I think that opens up. So you have your over-the-ball player in this class. You're looking for 3 or 4 interior D linemen, and I'm not counting a Bryce Perry Wright or Jarrell McCoy, who's probably a Florida lean, as an over-the-ball player. Those guys are both slated to come in this week, and we'll get into more about who's coming in with a list on Tuesday. But those guys are more edge/5 technique, power edge, 5 technique guys that'll grow into a 3 tech combo like an Alfred Collins with different body types. So they're different. So I expect Texas to sign 3 or 4 interior players. They have their over the ball player out of the way. We're going to bring up the official visitors list soon, but they did really well with Corey Wells out of Petal, Mississippi, who can play over the ball, but he can also play over the guard. So I'll just zip down this real quick. Xavier Crowell, Alabama was the favorite coming in. It's really going to come down to, is he going to stay in state, or if he's not? If he decides not to, I think Texas could be your winner there. He visited Georgia last weekend, Texas this weekend, Auburn the 13th, and Alabama on the 20th. Cohen Brown committed. We'll get to that in a second. Malachi Lee, I think Texas did great with him. He goes on an unofficial visit to Georgia this weekend, Michigan, OV the 20th. I think those are your 3 teams. I'm not counting Alabama totally out, but I think those are your 3 teams. And I think Texas and Michigan have the upper hand headed into the Georgia visit. Lamar Brown, Texas did extremely well there. Alan Clark's had a good relationship with him for a while. That carried over to Texas. Texas started recruiting him as a defensive lineman. I think Texas is going to be right there in that when he's visiting A&M this weekend, LSU on the 20th. He already went to Miami. But I think there's some positives there for Texas. I'm not saying Texas is going to get him, but there's some positives before that July 10th announcement. Berryman committed. Jamarian Carlton, I think Texas had a great visit with him. Bo Jandro, brothers, committed to Oklahoma. Devon Benjamin, I think Texas did very well with him. He visited Michigan last weekend. He's got Oregon and Washington left. I don't think USC is a factor for him at this point in time, or any of the Big Tens. So that one, I think Texas will be right there at the end. Corey Wells, I talked about. Hayward Howard was already committed. Jake Collette committed on the visit. Mikey Bukowskis, the punter, was a Texas lean before Clemson offered him. Now I think that's a toss-up or lean Clemson. He's going to visit Clemson. Obviously, Trot O'Neill was already committed. Cohen Brown, people are asking about him. His recruitment took off for me when he hit 10.68, 10.69, 10.7 this spring on the track. So it kind of validated what people saw on tape for him. That's why you saw Texas, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, a few others jump in on him full steam ahead in May after they made the coaches made visits over there and then did in-homes with him. He went from 10 catches for about 125 yards as a sophomore to 54 for over 1,000 in the toughest district in the state. So he started grabbing the big school attention there. He's a one-time USC commitment. That's big numbers. The only person that bettered numbers in that district was DeCorian Moore last year. But then when he kind of verified it on the track this spring, I think that kind of changed the game in his recruitment. And going into the weekend, it was kind of unknown if Texas was going to jump on him and get him committed, because he just hadn't been on campus very much at all. So he got on campus, and I think Sark and the offensive staff really liked the fit along with the talent of Cohen Brown. And Texas will still take 2 more wideouts in this class.
Thank you. Good stuff for sure. We also got some follow-up questions for those, Jerry. We'll get to those momentarily. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone today about our sponsor, Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do it, Blake. Our friend John Donovan, president, Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John's a proud Texas Ex's Life member whose wife and 6 siblings are also UT grads. It's this family passion is what led John to brand his firm, Longhorn Wealth Management, and dedicated to providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services and solutions. John was thrilled to watch the UT softball team win their first national championship ever with some of the most talented, compelling, and gritty performances we have seen from the Longhorns. Coach White and the team deserve all the accolades we can give them. Their championship also sets UT up for another great chance at winning our 4th Directors' Cup in the past 5 years. To honor that national championship performance, John wants to offer all OTF fans the opportunity to take advantage of a free 90-minute private consultation to learn how working with a certified financial planner can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. Call John and the Longhorn Wealth Team, 972-707-4900, or go online, www.longhornwealth.net, to schedule your free 90-minute private consultation with John today to build, manage, and secure your own financial future. Hook 'em from John and the folks at Longhorn Wealth Management.
Right. And before we move on, Jerry, did you have any other recruiting stuff that
we're going to watch Jamarian Carlton here. We haven't watched his huddle in a while, junior season. But Jamarian Carlton, he's already made a few official visits now, including Texas Tech, LSU, Texas, scheduled to be at A&M this weekend. We'll see if his process continues. But 84-inch wingspan is the number on him. When this recruitment kind of got going in the spring, USC was kind of a school we had heard about him a lot. Lyle and Clark went and saw him twice in May. So a guy who's, I think, his best football is way out in front of him. It's similar to Zena. The frame's going to take some time on him, but his best football, I think, is way out in front of him from a developmental standpoint and a frame standpoint because he's so long. It's going to take some time to build that frame out. But he had a great visit to Texas over the weekend, and it kind of this will set up the edge position because Texas has a number of guys coming in this weekend for the official visits, and those are Jake Krull is one of those who was at Florida over the weekend, and so we'll see where this edge position goes. Then you kind of have some guys, Dre Quinn also in this weekend, which I think Texas has a legitimate shot at him. Then you have those 5-tech guys coming in as well, those kind of power edge 5-tech guys coming in as well. Then on the 20th, you have Luke Wafel out of the Hun school scheduled to be in, whose brother plays at Penn State. So the edge board's kind of setting up now for Texas. Texas is they will take a commitment from Jamarian Carlton if he decides Texas is the place for him.
Jerry, I look at him and see, to your point, a little bit of a starter kit. You know what I mean by that? Like you see all the raw ability, the quickness, the athleticism, the arm length is one thing that just, he's probably 99 percentile on that. I would guess. Yeah. I think that the question I have is Texas. It feels like Texas is recruiting very specific positions on defense right now. The addition of Dylan Berryman, you talk about him being a true nose. One of the things I mentioned in my article this morning on OnTexasFootball.com is this. Think about Texas at the nose guard position. Vernon Broughton was never really one. Byron Murphy was never really one. Alfred Collins was never really one. Tavondre Sweat kind of was, but he was good enough to also play at the 3. Texas has not recruited a true nose that successfully that's become a player for him. So in fact, they end up signing Bill Norton now, the transfer portal last year. This year they signed Cole Brevard, to your point. They're now trying to get those younger guys into the program. Josiah Sharma, maybe even Myron Charles might be one. I feel like they're starting to recruit specific positions. Carlton is indicative of that, yet at a different position, right? At defensive end. And it feels, I don't know, it feels like it's just another progression for UT in the recruiting process. They can start being more specific as long as they continue to recruit really good athletes overall, right? I mean, that's the kind of thought process of what they're doing on defense. It is, and I will say this, it's what Pete Kwiatkowski was able to do in his latter years at Washington when they had so much success, right? He got them going in the right direction. Then all of a sudden, him and Jimmy Lake, I think, did a great job at Washington and let him do a college football semifinal against Alabama one year. I feel good about where the defense overall is going and how they're trying to piece it together. It's not, especially with what they're doing in the secondary right now, where Dwayne Akina's back, so they're trying to be multiple back there. I just like, we all know Sark's an offensive coach. I'm just saying as a viewer, I can feel what they're trying to do on defense, and it's more specific. They have more latitude to go after types that are elite as opposed to just go after the best prospect they can, so to speak, right now.
Yeah, and I think they trust in their development a great deal as well, right? I mean, they trust in that development a great deal. So you look at a guy like Jamarian Carlton or a Zena, if Jamarian Carlton were to pick Texas, and they see a guy that they feel like in their program they can develop him over a couple of year period of time and build him into a tremendous football player at the college level in the SEC. I think there's a strong belief there in what they do as far as player development, and why wouldn't they? That's been proven out. Maybe more so than anything else under Steve Sarkisian at Texas is the player development's proven out at a very high clip. Now that you have to have talented players to develop, so they're doing a good job of that. But look, for those that may have missed it, CJ and I, while we were waiting on the elite camp to start Thursday, we watched the team walk into their workout at Denny's and back out, off the field. And you're starting to see that development when you've been around these kids, whether in high school or kind of like we are. We're seeing the development physically. I mean, there's some of these freshman kids already looking different, which they should. The wiry, strong guys are going to look different quickly. But your guys who've been in the program a couple of years now, 3 years now, we're really seeing that development in the program. There's no stone left unturned, I think, right now from a player development standpoint. So I think they're doing a good job of evaluating guys that they can. Now, there's always your special guys. They're special. Everybody in America wants those guys. But then outside of that, are you evaluating at the level you need to, the clip you need to find those guys that you can develop in your program that may take a year or 2 years before you start to really see things that you like on the field. And I think they've got a strong belief there.
Hey, Jerry, anybody in particular as you guys watched the kids come through on Saturday that you said, oh wow, he looks a little different in his body shape this go round?
It's the wiry kids. They're always like that. So Cade Phillips already has a lot different muscle definition that he didn't leave in high school. Khalil Lockett, it's added a lot of lower body muscle. That was pretty easy to tell. And I think he's gained 10 plus pounds since he's been at Texas already. A lot of that's going to be that lower body is going to be ahead of his upper body. But you could easily tell on Khalil Lockett he had gained weight, because it was not dissimilar when him and Jamie French walked by, where Jamie French and his legs naturally were bigger than Khalil Lockett. Khalil Lockett was very wiry coming out of high school. And he was a younger kid, 17 years old, I think, when he graduated, or when he reported to Texas. Maybe it just turned 18. I still think he's 17. But some of those guys, obviously a Lance Jackson, he looks a lot different. And he was going to in a college program. He wasn't wiry, but he was just big, strong. But he had always been a multi-sport guy at a smaller high school in Texas. So now focusing in a college strength and conditioning program. Nick Brooks looked really good physically. I mean, when I saw I was thinking back after I saw him, what he looked like at Grayson. I went back and looked at pictures from Grayson. He looks a lot different now. Like he worked on his body himself. Grayson helped him leading up to this before he got to Texas. But I'm here to tell you, his body has transformed in a short amount of time, and since Grayson and now in Austin, he looks really good. It was noticeable.
I got some other big news that, of course, came on Friday night while we were doing the softball live stream. Was that the House settlement was approved. Obviously, that thing's probably nowhere close to being over. But curious to get y'all's takes on that.
My take on it is it's just another piece of the puzzle here. What it does is makes amateurism no more in college football. That's for sure. Or college sports generally. They are going to begin the House settlement. If you're unfamiliar, is going to take $20 million for each of the big schools and allocate it to its athletic programs for direct payments to athletes for their NIL. At Texas, that means Longhorn football team will get roughly $16.5 to $17.5 million of that 20 million. Basketball, I think, gets 2.5, and then the rest of the sports kind of fill in because it's dedicated primarily to revenue-producing sports for their NIL. But largely speaking, Blake and Jerry, there's also the addition and creation of something called the College Sports Commission as part of this House settlement. They've hired a CEO of that commission. It's a former Major League Baseball executive who oversaw enforcement and rules. He will be the ultimate arbiter of what's right and fair for this College Sports Commission and making sure that the House settlement rules are enforced. At the same time, we don't know what those are really going to look like, Blake and Jerry and everybody out there, because there are lawsuits yet to come. There will be more lawsuits coming out of this than what y'all can, than what anybody, in my opinion, can really understand. The good thing is the guy's a lawyer, so he should have some understanding of what that all means. I think it's a step forward. The House settlement is. I don't think it's the final solution, and that is part of the problem. Is that college sports has been so messed up for so long, the last 5 years. I say this, and I don't mean to be rude, but I think, not the latest NCAA president, Charlie Baker. I actually think he's been forward thinking at some level. He's just been incapable given the hand he was dealt. But, I think the NCAA, it's like Rome. Nero fiddled while Rome burned. I don't know how else to say it other than that. For 20 years, they were completely ineffective, completely not forward-looking, and now all this got dumped on them. They act like it just got dumped on them when the writing was on the wall 15 to 20 years ago when the money got so big. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know what they did? Nothing. The NCAA did nothing. They were the homeowners association rather than actually doing something. And I feel like, and that's no offense to anybody that serves on homeowners association. It's just, you know what it is. It's a largely perfunctory capacity where you're just trying to get along to go along. That's not the case anymore. That's not what the NCAA needed from its leadership. It didn't get it. So now we have a college sports commission. We also have direct payments to college athletes. We'll see what all that means long term. But we're here for it. We're going to cover it. I do think that there are going to be a large number of lawsuits that rearrange what the House settlement dictates or attempts to dictate.
I want to say this, John, to John's question. The short-term winners are your Power 4 programs that had no chance to compete with the blue bloods and bigger money NIL programs. Because from a football standpoint, they have now at least have and they're not going to be competing for the same players necessarily, but they're now a little more competitive on the short, that's one thing I would say is, Iowa State takes 75% of $20 million. Well, that's more than they were working with before.
Yes.
So those schools are going to feel like they have more of a chance short term. I don't think this is going to keep SEC schools from SEC in it. But Greg Jackson said the federal courts aren't going to allow limits on compensation. Bobby, I think that's kind of the topic that everybody's been hitting on. But I think what's interesting about that is compensation. There's a difference between pay for play and name, image, and likeness. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's going to be interesting to see is where this comes down, because the reality is we were told by a locked-in person, Deloitte would have tossed out 70% of all NIL deals in the last year. Again, not pay for play, but NIL. This is supposed to be name, image, and likeness. 70% of those deals would have been kicked out under Deloitte. So how many – this is going to I think this long-term is going to come down to who has true NIL value outside of the $20 million allotted for these college athletes. Who can create real NIL value? Where will that come from? I think the universities that are in major cities, your Texas and Austin, your USC, your Miami, if they're invested in it, Georgia because of Atlanta being the power in that state, Notre Dame probably through Chicago. I think some of those programs could have a decided advantage long term, but we'll see, because I think there's a difference. But what Greg was talking about, Bobby, between pay for play and true NIL, that's what's gonna be interesting to see with Deloitte.
Yeah, Deloitte's interesting in general and how they're going to play out because it's a range of compensation, not necessarily fair market value. My problem, Jerry, basically is this. How are you going to put – look, if Texas had $30 million+ roster in 2025 for this season, and that's already kind of grandfathered in even with the new House settlement, how are you going to go down to 17.5 next year? Okay, you're not.
No,
I'm just telling you, you're not. And that's where Texas is not alone in this. And that's where players are going to finally be forced, I think, to come together and collectively bargain. I think that will be that. And I do believe while the NCAA wants it to be, or the House settlement wants to create this NIL payment, well, that's not really true either. I mean, they're saying it's all for their NIL right now, this $20 million. It's not. It's for their pay for play. And so the NCAA is using double speak in this agreement already. So Deloitte, who the heck is Deloitte? Deloitte is a accounting consultancy firm, long-term in the industry. And they do things like the Oscar votes and stuff like that, that allows people to have some faith in their accounting. So they're just another group of professionals to try to help rein in what's going on. I'm not a believer in the House settlement as the be all end all or the final solution. But I will say this, it's progress. It is some progress. Doesn't mean it's just like, to sell a house, you gotta get the estimate first, and then you got to get the tick list of everything that you have to go get fixed. And well, we're on this path now, where things are starting to get fixed piece by piece. May not be the final price you pay, but at least we're going in that direction a little.
And Nathan said Deloitte also said 90% of public company NIL agreements would have been approved. That's kind of what I'm getting at is I think the universities in the big cities are going to have an advantage long-term and in its current state, right? And it's going to continue to change, but who is going to be able to create real NIL? Well, your universities in major cities have an advantage, in my estimation. It's better to be a university in a big city right now.
Well, we have some super chats this morning that we need to get to. And the first one is from Trace Little. Thank you, Trace. He says, I'm glad Sark doesn't do silly photo shoots like Aggie and Venables at OU with the horns down. Get a life, focus on your own program and not Texas.
It's easy. When you're winning, you don't have to, and Dan Lanning cannonball into a pool for a commitment that lasted 8 days. But, it's when you're winning, it's a lot easier.
He didn't do it when he wasn't winning, Jerry.
Yeah.
Although some would say that the use of Lambos are a bit ostentatious.
Yeah, he took a lot of heat from that last year and then signed the #1 class.
But my point is, look, everybody does their thing. Venables doing the horns down is ridiculous, but, I don't know what to say. A&M bringing out goats instead of sheep for a photo shoot. The problem, the goats didn't even look mean. Like, what did you want? They look like baby goats that were like, wouldn't hurt a fly. I mean, how's that football related? I don't know. Anyways, I digress. I don't want to get into the negative part of it, but some of these things, they've definitely jumped the shark. I'll put it that way.
I was, for those that haven't seen it, obviously you've seen the A&M one because we've shown it multiple times, but this is the OU one that.
Hey, Jerry, can you do your best Brent Venables there with the face?
Please. Please.
I look at the fake thigh muscles. Go back to that, man. Brent, he hadn't missed a leg day. Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. We got some more super chats to get into. Let me get him off my screen there. First, We have a question from Christine. Also, Christine mentioned it's her birthday, so we want to tell her happy birthday. But she says, Jerry, what Gooders are those that you're wearing? I'm looking at the fully blacked out pair for my next ones. I know I'm putting you on the spot, Jerry, but do you know what model that you wear?
Smoke and mirrors.
There you go.
Smoke and mirrors. I have 2 pair, and I have a lighter color of those as well. But those are the Ron smoke and mirrors.
There you go. And then I also noticed someone else, and I thought I started the comment, said that they bought some after seeing you wear them, Jerry. So you're doing good work out there for Gooder. And speaking of Gooder, I'm going to let you tell everyone about them.
Oh, I can certainly do that. Why wouldn't I wear the product, right? And I wore them look, I wore these things like driving from Houston to Austin 4 hours. And by the way, that drive's getting longer every time. And I know I've said this on the show, but it truly is. Swag Gooders, stylish sunnies, starting only $25 a pair, 1-year warranty, 30-day free returns. I got to read it. You don't need them. Lightweight and comfortable, 100% polarized, no slip, no bounce, from vibrant colors to sleek styles. They're a pair of Gooders for every personality out there, designed for both everyday wear and active individuals that love to run, hike, bike, and much, much more. Driving in the sun is another one. When do you wear your goodies? Well, that's one. On a run, playing pickleball, going to the beach, summertime at the beach. A lot of people are going to Destin and spots around Florida right now. Take your Gooders, order your Gooders. You need them. $300 pair of glasses lost in the ocean, make you mad all day, make that dinner not taste well. If you have Gooders and you lose them, dinner still tastes well. It's $25 a pair because they're so affordable. You don't have to worry about losing or breaking them. You can have a pair for every single occasion. If you need a new pair of sunnies, Gooder is giving On Texas football listeners free shipping. You can go to gooder.com/OnTexas and use that code OnTexas for free shipping. This is the part I have to read. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. Don't need it. 1,000% satisfaction. I'll add zeros for Gooder. Again, that's gooder.com/OnTexas and use that code for free shipping.
There you go. Thank you for that, Jerry. And we're going to jump back over to some super chats. And Bobby, you'll be able to answer this one. And he'll definitely get his answer here in a couple of days. But Lee Barton says, folks, with the softball natty, where does the competition for the Athletic Directors Cup stand? Keep up the great work and hook 'em.
Yeah, I spoke with Dr. Brett Wilkinson on Saturday night, no, yesterday afternoon, about what the Longhorns' outlook was for the Directors Cup. They're going for their 4th in 5 years. Given the Texas win in the softball championship, the only team that can catch Texas now is USC. And one of the championships left, USC has nobody left in the baseball championships. So it's literally coming down to the final sport, which is men's and women's track and field, which Texas is also participating in. Now, USC is a prohibitive favorite to win the men's track and field title. They also have a women's team that is predicted to finish in the top 3 to 4, at least. If some way, shape, or form USC wins both of those, Texas is going to have to do well at the men's and women's track and field championship. Right now, they just need to hold serve and both finish somewhere between 9 and 12, those men's and women's track teams for Texas, to actually stave off or fend off USC from outdoing them. But USC at some level could steal this from Texas right at the last minute based on the strength of their track and field programs. So he said, let's wait and see what happens. He's going to be on with us Wednesday to talk about some of the permutations that we'll see. But as of right now, Texas in the lead. The softball championship gave them an additional 10 points, which does give the track and field team a little bit more margin for error. They can go down a couple more spots maybe, as opposed to having to worry about all, finishing the top 10 necessarily.
And one other super chat, this one from Splendid Daddy, going back to the Venables pick. He says that it screamed, please don't fire me. So.
Tough. He got a tough schedule. Hey, Bobby, you talked to Brooks Austin, the film guy, for the Saturday conversation. What he said about John Mateer was interesting. He wasn't maybe quite as high. He was as a college player, but the inaccuracy issues, which we've talked about before, is something maybe the national media is not talking about enough with him. It's going to be interesting to see. Tremendous college player, or has the ability to be, but will he be more consistent throwing the football?
Yeah, and I think that the other thing that he mentioned there is that OU just needed a spark on offense last year, and they didn't get it anywhere. Maybe Mateer is their spark. I think he was off on the OU wide receivers. I think they're going to be appreciably better this year than they were a year ago, given just from a health perspective. Yeah. I mean, they were just so riddled with injuries. So I feel like there's some truth to that statement. The one that got me, I maybe should have argued more. He tried to compare Gunnar Stockton somewhat to Colt McCoy. And I was like, you just don't get it that Colt McCoy was so accurate. What, 77% completion? Gunnar Stockton is not a 77% passer. It doesn't matter. Now, he may move the team a little bit, but I still feel like, and he covers Georgia as well as doing the film guy stuff. I feel like Gunnar Stockton's just a little overrated in that regard. Now, he may be a tough, hard-nosed quarterback, but he's not Colt McCoy. He's just not. So we'll see where it goes. I think that the one thing that he had that I agree with is a healthy level of respect for Florida and what they might be this year. I'm telling you now, that's the team. I know we talk about Georgia and Alabama maybe making a run, LSU expected to be better. I think Florida is the team. Now they're one deep again, at most positions. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They are the one team that I think could really come out of this much better off than maybe anticipated. With OU, I would say this too. I mean, I talked to someone over the weekend, not Brooks, but look, they're really, really excited about their defense at OU right now. They think they're going to have their best defense in a long time. We'll see what that means. They should have the guys up front, Jerry, but we'll see if they have the guys on the back end too. I don't know. It was interesting talking to him. LSU was not as mentioned. He didn't believe in A&M. Just thought they were, until they get a quarterback that can play. And Mike Elko's got to figure out defense. Now, maybe his second year, they should have a big jump, but we'll see.
Yeah. A couple of questions after that on DJ Lagway's. I'm interested to see where his shoulder's at. Can they keep him
again? Like since last week. Last week he was Billy Napier. I was in a scrum of media reporters listening and talking to Billy Napier, and he said he was throwing 3 and 4 times a week right now. So if he hurt his shoulder since then, that would be new news. But
he's on a pitch count, which is very odd.
Yeah.
Very odd for a young quarterback. Let's see if they keep him healthy. Daniel, is Florida's defense better? Their defensive front, their starters are legit. Bunch of NFL draft picks. What's their depth like behind it? Because you obviously need that depth is so important because you're going to have injuries, you're going to have nicks, and you got a tough schedule. So what does that depth look like for Florida? They had a bunch of secondary injuries last year. They lost their stud slot receiver Eugene Wilson, who's an NFL player, but they lost a lot of guys to injury in that secondary last year. They're going to have to stay healthier. And they're going to have to stay healthy on the defensive front because they don't have the depth of a Texas or Oklahoma or probably even a Georgia in terms of depth of numbers on defensive line.
Hey, Jerry, I want to switch angles real quick on you and not talk about the team. I want to talk about recruiting. You and I, before the live stream last night, we were talking about how this is the time where not only does Texas start getting commitments, but other players start going off the board, right? Have there been any big name players go off the board in your opinion? I know we talked about the Harris twins from North Carolina, but they went to South Carolina. Justice Fitzpatrick, the corner out of St. Thomas Aquinas, went to Georgia. It still feels, and Mark Bowman, the tight end, went to USC. Those are some elite guys. It still feels, though, the large number of players right now are still out there for Texas. Do you feel like there's a winnowing of opportunity right now overall, and is enough out there still for Texas to finish with a top 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 recruiting class?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't have any doubt that ability still out there. A lot of these kids have locked in dates. Now, Justice Fitzpatrick committed to Georgia. Obviously, he's still going to visit Ohio State. We'll see if he shows up at Texas on the 20th. But that's going to be tough. I've been telling people that relationship with Glenn Schumann and Kirby Smart was kind of the thing that will follow there in that recruitment. But yeah, a lot of your top guys are out there. They have locked in commitment dates. I mean, Xavier Crowell's June 26th, right? Xavier Griffin, who's in this weekend, is June 29th. There's a lot of guys that start committing that first week in July. Jarayla McCoy. Now, Florida's trying to squeeze him a little right now. But then, Caden Finley, July 4th. Bryce Perry Wright coming in this weekend, July 4th. Jalen Lott coming in this weekend, July 4th, announcement dates. Lamar Brown is July 10th. So some kids don't have those decision dates even locked in yet. Jamarian Carlton's supposed to be July 10th. Hezzy Kent, who's coming in this weekend, July 12th. So now the majority of your top guys have not committed yet. Samari Matthews has August 10th. KJ Edwards has August 2nd. His commitment dates out there right now. Samari Matthews coming in this weekend, the corner from Huff. So, and some kids haven't even set up their commitment dates yet. But the majority of these kids will go through the entire official visit process, sit on it, and commit in July or early August.
Yeah, I guess the question I was asking is, do you like the board?
Oh, yeah.
Do you, as of right now, do you still like how the board's set up for Texas? Too much has gone off the board too early. Like you're sitting back there and you're drafting 32nd, and all of a sudden, all the guys are off the board. You feel Texas is right there?
Yeah, no, I do. I think, look, there's at least 19 OVs this weekend. There's probably going to be 16, 17 next weekend. So, I do. I like where the board's at for Texas, and they're in on so many highly ranked players. You're not going to get them all, but you just have to keep chipping away. And that combination will fall into place for Texas. And the other thing I'll say is recruiting it's not finished in August. Justice Terry and Grayson Littleton weren't on the radar for Texas at the kickoff of last season. By the way, and I always remind people this, Jonah Williams had been crystal balled or predicted the 4 different schools at this point in his recruitment. And then he ended up picking Texas. So there's a lot of runway left. And wherever Texas sits after July or August is not where they're going to sit in December. So I like Texas' chances a lot because there will be guys moving around. We'll see what this House settlement does to some guys. Bobby, some decisions that have been made. What's really going to happen here with some of these contracts, these multi-year contracts? We'll see what happens there. Somebody asked about, I can't remember.
Wait, Jerry, I have something for you. I want you to look at this list real quick. Okay, I'm going to guide you through this list and have you answer some questions for me. Okay, who do you think of this list Texas sits in a great spot for? Not just good. Like I think Xavier Crowell, Texas sits in a good spot. I would hesitate to say a great spot because of the in-state tie with Alabama, right? Who do you think of this list Texas right now sits in a great spot with that is not already committed? Like don't include Dylan Berryman or Cohen Brown or those guys.
Yeah, Corey Wells and Jamarian Carlton.
Okay. What about Malachi Lee?
They have legitimate
Malachi Lee, Lamar Brown, and Devon Benjamin.
They have legitimate shots at those guys.
So, but do you feel like anybody leads for Brown, Lee, or Benjamin at this point?
Lee, I think Texas and Michigan, but he's going back to Georgia this weekend. I think there's a lot of meat left on the bone in those recruitments. I mean, look, Lamar Brown's announcing July 10th. He's going to go to A&M this weekend. Who's been recruiting him as a defensive lineman the longest? And then LSU that final weekend. There's a lot of battles left with these guys, a lot of battles. Devon Benjamin, I think Texas and Oregon, and Michigan, or in Washington, maybe your sleeper. But these are real battles left. And even if Texas was slightly ahead for somebody, man, these guys are still taking visits to major national programs.
So those three are still on the board, so to speak, because they're going there. But you like where Texas sits specifically with Carleton and Wells coming out of this weekend. Like you feel like they're close at some level, right?
Corey Wells said no more official visits. He's done. He visited Ole Miss May 30th, Auburn midweek last week, and then Texas this weekend. And he really impressed the Texas staff. He'd been on campus before, but I think they really like him and the fit there. So it wouldn't shock me if he picked Texas over Ole Miss, but we'll see, because that in-state pressure kicks in now until your decision, and then throughout your senior season if you're Corey Wells.
There's a ton of recruiting stuff going on. And if you're not, I think now's a great time to bring this up. If you're not a member of ontexasfootball.com, then use promo code OTFOG when you sign up. You can get a full year for $39.95. Obviously, Jerry's not going to be on here 24/7 giving y'all up-to-date recruiting updates as much as y'all would like him to be. But he does have it over at ontexasfootball.com all the time. So use promo code OTFOG when you sign up. Lock in that annual subscription for just less than $40, $39.95. That's a steal. Limited time offer right now, thanks to Bobby. And that way you get your recruiting news, your team news, whatever it may be, and join the community over there. So I did want to mention that.
Actually, I dropped basketball stuff on the board today, a little bit on the board today too, where Texas is kind of direction they're looking for that final roster spot they're definitely going to use.
Hey, Jerry, how much time did you and CJ spend at the airport this weekend?
Too much.
Too much. I saw some of the photos of those guys coming off. Was there anybody that looked like Nick Brooks last year where you just went, oh my goodness?
Well, I wasn't there for that one because I had to get back for the live stream, but Malachi Lee, extremely impressive physically, I think, to the Texas staff as well, because he hadn't been on campus before.
Yeah.
But we kind of set up Malachi Lee for everybody on this. And I'd said multiple times, Stacey Searles isn't flying from Athens, Georgia to Honolulu for just a guy. Rankings be damned. They think he's a lot better than where the rankings are. Kyle Flood, the same thing, because you're losing an entire day in May recruiting to go see one player. You don't do that unless you think he's really good. You know who those guys did that for last year? Nick Brooks. What have we heard about Nick Brooks? He's a hell of a lot better than where he was ranked. So I think Malachi Lee is going to be in that same, wherever he goes, he's going to fall in that same category.
Wow, we got more questions to get to this morning. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about one of our other sponsors today, one of your favorites, Omaha Steaks.
I had it yesterday. We had some friends over in from Kingwood. They're visiting us this weekend. And we had some Omaha Steaks. It was a terrific dinner. They have something now, Blake, by the way, called brisket burgers. They are really, really freaking good. If you are with Father's Day coming up right now, I want to promo Omaha Steaks. Some things never change. Dads want steak. A recent survey shows 75% of Americans agree there's no better way to spend Father's Day than grilling with the family. From USDA certified tender steaks to burgers and more, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience, guaranteed to secure your spot as dad's favorite. They make it easy to deliver an unforgettable gift for the best dad in the world, yours. And when you shop online and pick up in store, it's never too late to find the perfect gift. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by an unconditional 100% money-back guarantee. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers. Grass-fed, grain-finished beef has more marbling for exceptional flavor and is the choice of steakhouses and professional chefs around the world. This Father's Day, give Dad the world's best steak experience with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for guaranteed perfect gifts that deliver legendary quality. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code Texas at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code ONTexas at checkout. See site for details. Again, it's the perfect Father's Day gift. I've been doing it for my dad for years now. Last night was terrific. We had a great time with our friends. I had some chicken as well that they brought, some big Franks, a couple of filet mignon. I mean, we did it up right. It was a fun time.
Good stuff. And Jerry, if you'd be so kind to let everyone know about Vaughn Lane.
I sure can. It's funny. I sent a picture out to our guys in our text thread. I was driving from Houston to Austin, and I was behind the Vaughn Lane bus for about 15 minutes in traffic because there's always traffic on I-10. And I was thinking to myself, man, it would have been nice to be in that Vaughn Lane bus getting some work done instead of sitting in traffic. Well, that leads me into my read. Tired of stress, delays, and mediocre service of air travel or long drives? You deserve better. Vaughn Lane is an elevated regional bus transportation for discerning travelers where everyone is in Group A. No middle seats, no security lines, no hassles, just first-class comfort with spacious reclining leather seats, no crowds, and dedicated attendants catering to your needs. You'll experience a seamless, stress-free journey. That's what I was talking about. Want to stay productive? Enjoy high-speed Wi-Fi and power outlets at every seat. Prefer to unwind, kick back with extra legroom, complimentary snacks and drinks, and thoughtful amenities like hot towel service, eye mask, pillows, and blankets. Now connecting all major Texas cities, plus Nashville, Memphis, and Atlanta. Vaughn Lane has served over 1 million passengers and traveled 21 million miles, plus ensuring you arrive rested, accomplished, and refreshed. Don't let transportation ruin your plans. Upgrade your journey today. Visit vaughnlane.com and use promo code OTF25 for $25 off your first trip. That's first-class travel without the hassle. I witnessed it firsthand because I was thinking those people were sitting back in their chairs, had a little eye mask, or were working. They weren't even concerned about changing lanes in traffic like I was. They didn't have to worry about all that traffic on I-10.
Good stuff. All right, let's jump into some more questions. Also, I've gotten a lot of baseball questions this morning. Texas hosted a few visitors over the weekend, as I put in the scroll that we've been running at the bottom every now and again. And more to come this weekend. No commitments from those visitors as of right now, by the way. But I expect this week to pick up and really get moving as far as visitors go. Posted a lot of insider notes over at ontexasfootball.com, so you can check those out as well, along with Jerry's basketball insider notes.
Blake, in baseball, is there particular positions they're looking for right now?
I mean, I think there's a few obvious ones for sure. Obviously, pitching is always going to, that's a given. Shortstop, what I was told is they are going to be very, very aggressive no matter the position and no matter who may hold that position currently. So they just want to upgrade the roster and upgrade the roster as quickly as possible. Gotten a few questions asking why people are leaving. It's more of a mutual parting of ways, I think would be a great way to put that, because Texas now, I believe, at 9. I'd have to go back and count, but 9 players that have departed the program over the last week since the portal opened. And of course, the portal runs through July 2nd as well. So a lot more time left. But yeah, I expect it to, I expect a few more probably to leave, and obviously a lot more to come in. But to answer your question, Bobby, everywhere.
They're just going to try to rebuild, keep stacking it. It's not unlike what Sark did.
Yep.
I mean, that's what he did. He's like, look, we just got to keep getting better. We're not good enough yet.
Yeah.
Great
way to put it.
Yeah.
Great way to put it. So, all right, let's jump back over to some football questions. And Emperor says, I wonder if either Lockett or French are going to be that dude.
I think they're both really talented players. I think Khalil Lockett, coming out of high school, had more to kind of add from the nuances part of the game at wide receiver. He has elite ball skills and body control and timing, 11-inch hands. I mean, he's got huge hands for 6'1.5", 6'2" wide receiver, huge hands, big old catch radius, and a young kid by age. Jamie French, I think, he's natural He's very, and I'm not saying he's going to be this good, but he's very similar to A.D. Mitchell for me in terms of coming out of high school. If you watch those guys, he's got really undervalued ability after the catch. And sometimes that's only going to show up in the games, like when the lights are on. So I think both those guys, I think Dale McCutcheon, I think all those guys are going to be really good players for Texas. I was told that Texas is very happy with all those guys. Michael Terry, obviously somebody will follow up. What about Terry? Terry's got the longest development of all those guys because he's just never really played the position. So he has the longest to go in terms of learning the position. But I've heard Texas is very happy with all three of those guys. Very happy.
And on a somewhat related note, King Me wants to know, who's y'all's breakout player this season?
Arch Manning is the easy one.
Not Arch.
Yeah, I mean, usually there has to be a stipulation in there, right? Who is my breakout player?
Alex January is one for me.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, I'm, I wish I knew whether Jalen Gilbo was going to stick at corner or go to nickel. Because if he goes to nickel, I would say Kobe Black. And if he goes to corner, I would say Wardell Mack. Because I think there's an open spot there. And I think both of those guys, Jerry, are talented, enough to be breakout players.
I can tell you for sure, if he's healthy, Colton Vosick. Because his success rate percentage, however you want to define it, is way too high for him not to be if he's healthy for a full season. And Ethan Burke, Colin Simmons, if Trey Moore, and Trey Moore was a lot bigger, by the way, considerably bigger than he was a year ago. If Trey Moore plays more at linebacker as the season moves along, we'll see on that. Colton Vosick, definitely if he's healthy.
A lot of people mentioning Jelani McDonald. That's a popular one in the chat this morning. A couple of Wingos in there, a few Lance Jacksons, but it looks like Jelani is the consensus over.
Can a transfer be one?
A couple of Watsons.
Yeah,
Brad Spence.
I'll tell you one. I'll go with Ryan Wingo. That's who I'll go with, is Ryan Wingo. I think he's going to be helped. Not many people realize how much a guy like Jack Indries is going to help Ryan Wingo on the outside, because he'll take some underneath. He and DeAndre Moore will take some pressure on the underneath stuff, and will give him some free reign there. Emmett Mosley. I mean, look, you can go on and on. And the reason why we can do this is because Texas lost so much last year, and they're so talented in the underclassmen ranks. That's why we can sit here and name 10 to 15 guys, literally. We just did it, that we all think could break out, because we know, and what little we've seen of them, they've been very talented. So we've gotten a taste of them, but they haven't done it fully yet. I mean, Ryan Wingo ended up starting at the end of last year as a true freshman.
That's kind of why I wouldn't put him on a breakout for me. Like him, and he was a starter in a national semifinal team.
I know, that's what but was he? You know what I'm saying though, Jerry? It's like there's so many of those guys that, okay, now you're supposed to be the dude. We'll see how it goes. They just have so much talent. It's just young, and it's going to be interesting to see which players galvanize the team together. You know what I mean by that, Jerry? It's like it happened, and it doesn't happen in game one, by the way. It happens over the first 5 or 6 games of the season, and then you start to see your roster. So we'll see how it goes.
I'll say this: who it's going to be, I think, still going to play out on the field. But there's going to be a running back that's a breakout player this year, whether that's Jarrett Gibson, Christian Clark, or James Simon, because they're going to get the opportunity from the get-go. And then they're going to have San Jose State, Sam Houston, and UTEP to get a lot of usage out of those guys. One of those running backs is going to become a breakout player this year, but I think it's going to be decided in the games. No matter what the depth chart says going into Ohio State and then San Jose State, I think it's going to be decided on the field. But one of those running backs is going to be a breakout player for Texas. That doesn't mean they're going to put up the numbers Trey Weiser does, but what it means to me is they're going to be a very big part of the offense. Whoever wins that number 2 spot early in the season, they're going to be a big part of the offense.
Our next question this morning is a super chat again from Splendid Daddy. Thank you. And he says, do we have a special teams ace coming this season?
That's a great question. I mean,
Jordan Washington talked about Grayson Littleton a little bit, which is interesting.
Yeah, Texas missed that last year, in my opinion. They truly did miss that because Warren Roberson just wasn't that guy, and Jelani McDonald got pushed because he was playing so much at actually true safety. He didn't play on special teams as much. I think that's a big piece of it. So
Brandon Huey,
Niblett is just, Brandon, he's got the speed, but he doesn't have the size to kind of make it through traffic. He can get taken off his route maybe too easily. We'll see though. Maybe he defies the odds in that regard.
All right, time for some more questions here. And where did that one go? I just had it. Oh, Lando says, what Big 3 men's team is next to win a national championship?
Woo!
If it's not football, the chat's going to go nuts.
I think it's football. So they're best positioned to do it. And they've got, look, as long as they stay healthy at quarterback, they should have a shot in every game they play. Doesn't mean they're going to win it, but as long as they stay healthy at quarterback, they should have a shot at every single game they play. Couldn't say that just 5 years ago at all, or 4. Things have changed.
Hey, I'm going to hit one question real quick. Michael Hargis says you should come hoop at Lynn Griffin Park. I do not play basketball anymore. I made it to 50 with both of my Achilles, and I plan to continue that. I do not play basketball. I'll shoot around in a gym, but that's it. I'm not running a court. I'm not playing basketball. I've had multiple friends tear their Achilles in their late 30s and early 40s, and I'm not going to be on crutches that long. That's my plan. But I'll play horse or something with you, but I ain't playing anymore.
Well, let's jump over to some recruiting questions. I know you answered a few of them earlier, Jerry, but we've had a lot of people join in. And let's start. One of the most popular ones we've gotten is about Fitzpatrick, Jerry. A lot of people wanting to know, he's now going to visit Ohio State. Do you see him visiting Texas?
Have not heard for sure on that, but we'll be double checking this week to see if there's still a possibility there. When he committed to Georgia, we were told not likely, but we'll see if it's changed.
And then Zane Petty says, Jerry, does Berryman have any Puna in him? Puna forward?
I think they're a lot different. I think Cole Brevard is really who he reminds me of. If you go back and watch Cole Brevard, pull up Cole Brevard's high school huddle, Blake. This might be fun. He really reminds me of Cole Brevard from a strength standpoint, from a skill standpoint, from a positional standpoint, and from a frame standpoint. I think they're going to look very similar. This is Cole Brevard senior tape here. When he signed with Penn State out of the Indianapolis area, really an over-the-ball guy. If you look how similar their frames are coming out of high school. That's not the Cole Brevard you see today. Cole Brevard is massive today. This is Cole Brevard at about 6'1", probably 6'1 and a half, 6'2", and about 315, which is where Dylan Berryman is now. And you see how much he played over the ball in high school. I really think that's who Dylan Berryman is. I think he's very similar to Cole Brevard.
It's interesting. A lot of people don't realize this, but Cole Brevard signed with Penn State out of high school.
Yeah.
And then transferred to Purdue. A lot of people, he's a Purdue. Just realize that he transferred to Purdue from Penn State.
Yeah.
All right. And then our next question here from King Me is Cohen Brown's comparison DeAndre Moore.
He is for me.
That's not a bad one.
Yeah. Somebody asked me that this morning. They said, is he Quan Cosby? He's bigger than Quan, right? He's taller. Look, the thing that grabs me about Cohen Brown, he literally jumped onto the scene last year. He had 11 catches as a sophomore. You don't have 11 catches as a sophomore and end up going to Texas. That's like extraordinarily rare in this day and age, right? Then he exploded. I think he had 54 for 1080 last year. And so that's 20 yards a catch roughly. In a district, and Jerry was really smart to mention this, in a district that includes Duncanville, DeSoto. Yeah. I mean, those are tough guys. He's playing against a lot of D1 defensive backs, yet he averaged 20 yards a catch. And I think that all of that together, I think it's more DeAndre Moore than anybody else. Like he's different than Jordan Whittington. He's different than Devin Duvernay. Somewhat similar sized to those guys, though. Let's see. 10.69 to Jerry's point is moving. And what I think DeAndre Moore was 10.75, similar range. So I think Moore is a good comp.
Yeah, I'm sending something to Blake here that we'll pull up. I just sent him Puna Ford's senior huddle. That might be fun to watch. But just for comparison, that's what makes this fun. So Cohen Brown last year, like Bobby said, I mean, he played an amazing schedule. And he had 54 receptions for 1,084 yards. He had big games against Ennis, 8 for 160. Forney, 5 for 229. Forney's really talented. Duncanville, he had 6 for 74 against DeSoto. Horn. I mean, Cedar Hill was the one team that held him down a little bit, but everybody else he was really productive against, and it was consistent production, 50, 60, 70-yard games mixed in with some really big games. But 1,084 yards in that district as a junior is getting after it because, again, I mean, their schedule was just so tough. They had Ennis, Coppell, Forney out of district, Duncanville, DeSoto, Mesquite, Horn, Cedar Hill, Skyline, Lancaster, Mesquite in district. Then in the playoffs, they beat Waco Midway. They beat North Forney, and then they lost to Bridgeland. He had a big game against Bridgeland, 6 for 145. They had all this really good offensive linemen over at Bridgeland, but he played against as tough a schedule as there is in the state of Texas and put numbers up. So that he did it, and he made a huge jump from sophomore to junior year, and he did on the track too.
Here is
this is fun to look at. So, okay, because I want to bring this up because the guy asked, is he like Puna Ford? So Puna Ford was a hellacious athlete, and he was 5'11 and a half, but he had the longest arms I've ever seen on a 5'11 and a half person. But this guy also played running back in high school. Like even though he got a slow start there, I mean, he just slow off the ball there. He had his head down, but this guy was a hellacious athlete. And here he is playing H-back, fullback, whatever. And he did more of this as a junior in high school. But he was he had great feet and great leverage. Look at how long his arms are. They played him all over the place. He was pretty much a high school edge is what he was. But he was a little more athletic or a lot more athletic than a Cole Brevard or a Dylan Berryman. But he also was more than just an over-the-ball player. He had great feet. I'll never forget going to see him at Hilton Head High School. And I was kind of blown away by two things, his arm length and how good his feet were. And we had, because I was overranked. Is that guy still playing football? Probably not. But I was over rankings at 24/7 at the time, and we ranked him, I think, around 200 in the country. I think we ranked after I went by the school. I was like, I don't care how tall this guy is. He is a tremendous football player.
Making money in the NFL, baby.
I mean, yeah, he was. Boy, those poor kids in high school, man.
You don't. Sometimes life's just not fair to those other guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you see somebody 5'11" and you're 5'11" or 6 foot yourself as an offensive lineman, and you think you got a chance. And then the other guy on the other side of the ball is 5'11", and his name's Poona Ford, and you got no chance.
And he had one thing he had violence on contact. Like even here, I mean, violence on contact. He was always looking to contact people. And boy, if he got squared up on you because he played low at 5'11", if he squared up on people, man, there was punishment involved.
All right, we got some work to do here, guys. Before we got a few more questions we're going to get to. I think we got a super chat as well. Before we go there, I want to say thank you to our sponsor each and every Monday. Is John Donovan, Longhorn Wealth Management. As a proud UT alum, John served 15 years as a Dallas, Texas chapter board member, and he's now helping lead the build-out of the Collin County Texas chapter. If you live in Collin County and want to get involved, just shoot John an email, and he'll get you added to the chapter list. Speaking of big events, John was excited to see the incredibly successful earlier results from the official visit weekend, with Coach Sark securing 3 new commitments. And with the 2 biggest official visit weekends still to come, John believes our chances at landing another top 5 class just continue to get better. John wants to make his own commitment to helping all OTF fans by offering you a free 90-minute private consultation to learn how working with a certified financial planner can help you build and manage your own financial future. Take advantage of this free 90-minute consultation. Either call John and his team at Longhorn Wealth at 972-707-4900 or go online, www.longhornwealth.net. You can schedule your meeting today. Again, that's John Donovan and the fine folks over at Longhorn Wealth Management.
I want to thank them for sponsoring every Monday. And yes, we do have time for just another question or two, and they're kind of related here. So I'm going to do the super chat first from Bald Father Betts. Thank you. I'm going to Columbus. I've heard the horror stories from 20 years ago. What do I need to watch out for? And do you think it will be better this time?
No. I mean, look, I'm going as well, and we're going to have a tailgate, et cetera. We're going to talk about that at the right time. But I don't expect any better. I think they're just as obnoxious today as they were back then. And coming off a national championship, that ain't going to change. They were 2 years removed from a national championship the last time Texas went up there at 3. Just it's not going to change. So that being said, I mean, I think just don't try not to provoke. That's my advice to anybody visiting in an enemy territory, so to speak.
And like I said, we do have a related question from Sarah McCoy. She wants to know y'all's toughest road game in 25. Is it Ohio State, Georgia, Florida, Kentucky? What do you got?
That's interesting. I wrote something on Texas Football mid-May about that. Because it can go so many different directions. For Ohio State, because I think Arch's first road start, all the hype, all the buildup around that, the Ohio State fan base, that's going to be pretty wild. At Georgia, because I don't care if Georgia has 2 losses going into that game, Kirby will have his guys on tilt when Texas comes to Athens. The Swamp, if Florida's having a good season, is a really tough place to play if they have it going. The toughest game to get up for is Kentucky. There's been some great teams that have lost or almost lost at Kentucky, and Kentucky had not nearly the talent. I don't think Kentucky's going to be very good this year, but where it sits on the schedule, it's going to be hard to be up for that game. I mean, Georgia beat Kentucky 13-12 last year, and they aren't even close in talent.
Not to be rude, but I don't. Kentucky doesn't belong on the same list as the first 3. I mean, if you wanted to include Kentucky, you might want to include Mississippi State, because that can be a tough place to play, depending on their talent level. I think the toughest road game actually starts with Ohio State. I mean, they're the defending national champions, and you're starting a true freshman quarterback for the first time on the road. Or no, true freshman quarterback. first-year starting quarterback on the road for the first time ever. You know, I think that Ohio State game should theoretically make his approach at Florida and at Georgia more doable. So I would go with Ohio State for that. And I would say from talking to people who have been to games at all three places, I would say that Ohio State and Florida are more difficult places to play historically than Georgia, even though Georgia of late has had as much talent, if not more, than anybody. Georgia is not considered one of the tougher places to play. 99 will shine. Barry Sorrell. That's awesome. So Barron must have got his new number. He's no longer 88. He's number 99 for the Green Bay Packers.
Very cool.
Hope you're doing well, Mr. Sorrell. Hope you and your family are doing great. We're happy to that Barron has moved on and doing well for himself right now.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, I'm told, I cannot confirm or deny, but I'm told that Bobby.
About time.
Oh.
Here's what I have.
He's playing the hat game. He's
going, NA.
Mustard.
Ketchup or mustard?
Mustard. You're playing the hat game. You aren't committing.
Yeah.
You aren't committing to the mayonnaise.
Jerry and I are about to walk off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nah, he wasn't doing it. I got y'all tomorrow in the chat. I'll double fist the mayo corn dogs.
Mayonnaise only for UT football championship. I'll do corn dog and mustard for everything else.
Love it, Bobby. Thank you, Jenny.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. Want to thank them, along with Omaha Steaks, of course, Gooder, and then Vaughn Lane, all for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well for the super chats. And as I said earlier, if you haven't already, take advantage of that offer. When you use promo code OTFOG, you can lock in an annual subscription for $39.95. Limited time offer here, only when you use that promo code OTFOG over at ontexasfootball.com. And Bobby, what do you have later today?
Yeah, absolutely. CJ and Jerry going to talk, or CJ and Jeff are going to talk a little bit more about the recruiting weekend and what they think may happen or arise because of it. That'll happen. And then also Rod Babers, Coach Shipley come back with the winning drive along with CJ at around 3:15. And then Jerry and I tonight talking recruiting again. It's the subject du jour, given the Longhorns 3 commitments over the weekend and the big thing we got going on this week with 19 official visits coming in for the Longhorns beginning on Friday.
Good stuff. All right, well, we will be back tomorrow morning. Hope you all have a great day. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.